Good evening, dear listener, and welcome to Slumber Town Lullabies, your gentle refuge where stories wrap around your heart and lead you softly into dreams. Tonight, we step into Concord, New Hampshire, a small, weathered town tucked beneath whispering maples, where the cobblestones hold the weight of forgotten promises, and the air carries the faint warmth of hearths long lit. This is the story of the Clockmaker's gift, a tale of a love born in childhood, tested by years and distance, and left to shimmer like a star just out of reach. It's a story that might feel like your own, of love, loss, and the ache of what could have been. Close your eyes, let the world slip away, and let the soft ticking of a distant clock guide you to a peaceful slumber. Picture Concord in 2025, its streets quiet under a silver moon. At the heart of the town stands Caldwell's Clocks, a modest shop with a sign faded by time. Inside, Henry Caldwell, 78 and stooped, sits at his workbench, surrounded by the hum of gears and springs. His hands, gnarled like river roots, have shaped Concord's time for decades. Clocks that tick in parlors, chime in kitchens, and whisper through sleepless nights. His white hair glows under an oil lamp, his eyes clouded with memories he's locked away. Tonight, as the town hushes, something calls to him. Henry sifts through a drawer, his fingers brushing a tarnished pocket watch, its face dim, its hands stilled at 11:11. He lifts it, the metal cold yet alive with memory, and reads the engraving. To H.C. from E.J., 1959. E.J., Eliza Jane, the girl who was his son, his promise, his forever. A tear falls, tracing the lines of a face worn by regret. You, listener, might feel it too, the pang of a name that pulls you back to a moment you can't reclaim. Henry holds the watch, and the years dissolve, carrying him to a poorer Concord, where two children swore a vow under the stars. Drift back to 1955, when Concord was a threadbare town, its dirt roads choked with dust, its houses patched against the cold. Henry and Eliza, both 8, were bound by a friendship deeper than the river they loved. Picture them by the Merrimack, on a crumbling dock they called their castle. Henry, with his quiet eyes and patched overalls, skips stones, while Eliza, her dark hair loose, weaves tales of queens and distant shores. Their world was small, shared crusts of bread, barefoot races through the grass, but their hearts were vast. They spent summers climbing the old oak by the river, its branches their sanctuary. At night, they'd sneak to a hill beyond the town, lying on a tattered blanket under a sky of endless stars. "When we're grown," Eliza said one night, her voice fierce, "we'll get married. We'll have a house, a big clock, and no more hunger." Henry, his cheeks burning, carved their initials, HC plus EJ, into the oak. "I swear it," he said, their pinky swear sealing a promise that felt eternal. You might remember a promise like that, listener, a childhood vow you meant with all your soul. But poverty is cruel. In 1959, when Eliza was 12, her father, a carpenter worn by lean years, heard of work in California's shipyards. The family packed their lives into a battered suitcase, chasing a life beyond want. At the train station, Eliza clung to Henry, her ribbon wet with tears. "Don't forget me," she whispered, pressing her father's pocket watch into his hand. "Find me, Henry, when we're older." He nodded, his heart breaking, and watched her train vanish, her face a fading star. You know that ache, don't you? The moment someone you love slips beyond your reach. Concord dimmed without Eliza. Henry, left behind, followed his father into clockmaking, learning to craft time in their tiny shop. The pocket watch became his talisman. He wound it nightly, its tick a thread to her. Eliza's letters arrived, filled with sketches of the ocean and dreams of their vow. "I see our star every night," she wrote. "Do you still see it, Henry?" He wrote back, his words clumsy but true, promising a clock to mark their future together. In California, Eliza's family rose from poverty. Her father's skill built a thriving business, and by 1970, at 23, Eliza lived in a grand house, her days filled with art and music. Yet her heart stayed in Concord, locked in that hilltop promise. She wore a locket with their initials, touching it when she ached for Henry. Her letters grew bold. "I love you, Henry. I'm waiting for you." Henry, now a master clockmaker, but tied to his family's struggling shop, faltered. He loved her beyond words, but doubt gnawed. Could he, a poor craftsman, fit her new world? His letters slowed, not from fading love, but from a fear of not being enough. You've felt that fear, haven't you, listener? The dread that love alone can't bridge the gap. Eliza, reading his silence, thought he'd forgotten her. By 1975, her family urged her toward a suitor, kind, wealthy, but not Henry. She married, had children, built a life, but her locket stayed close, her love for Henry a quiet flame. Henry, hearing nothing, believed she'd found joy. He poured his heart into his clocks, each tick a regret, each talk a memory of her smile. Concord grew less poor, but Henry's soul remained in 1955 with Eliza. In 1985, Eliza, now 38, stood at a turning point. Her marriage, though stable, lacked the spark of her childhood vow. Her children were young, her parents aging, and her wealth felt empty without Henry. Finding his last letter, she booked a train to Concord, her locket gleaming, her heart alight. Picture her stepping onto Concord's cobblestones, the town softer but familiar, the river still whispering their secrets. She found Caldwell's clocks, its door creaking as she entered. Henry, 40 and graying, looked up, his hammer falling. "Eliza," he gasped, his voice a prayer. She nodded, tears spilling, and they fell into each other's arms, time collapsing. You can feel it, can't you? The rush of seeing someone you thought was lost forever. They laughed, cried, and talked through the night, the workshop glowing with their joy. Henry showed her the pocket watch, still ticking. Eliza opened her locket, revealing their initials. "I never stopped loving you," she said, and he kissed her, their vow alive again. For 2 weeks, they were young again. They walked the riverbank, mourning the felled oak but finding their hill. They lay under the stars, her head on his chest, naming constellations as if no years had passed. Henry crafted a tiny clock for her, its face etched with their star, and she painted him a picture of their dock, vibrant with childhood colors. They whispered of running away, of keeping their promise, their love burning brighter than ever. You've known that joy, listener. The fleeting moment when love feels like it can conquer all, but their happiness was fragile. Eliza's family, learning of her time in Concord, descended. Her father, now a stern patriarch, and her husband, protective of their empire, demanded her return to California. "You can't go back to that poor town," her father said, his voice sharp. "You're our legacy. You owe your children, your family." Eliza pleaded, her heart tearing. She loved Henry, but her children's future, her family's empire, weighed heavy. Henry, hearing her family's wealth and his own simple life, felt the old fear return. "I can't give you what they can," he said, his voice breaking. They stood by the river, clinging to each other, tears mixing. "Wait for me," Eliza sobbed, pressing the locket into his hand. "I'll come back." She left, her family's car pulling her away, Henry's world dimming once more. Back in 2025, Henry holds the pocket watch and locket, their weight a lifeline to 1985. He winds the watch, its tick piercing the silence, and hears, or imagines, Eliza's voice. "Wait for me, Henry." Tears fall as he opens the locket, finding her sketch of their star. He retrieves her last letter from 1985, unopened since her visit. Henry, I'll find a way back. Our star is still there. I love you forever. The words gut him. She'd tried, and he'd let her go again, too afraid to chase her. A fire ignites. He won't let their love fade. He clears his workbench, sketching a grand clock for Concord Square, a monument to Eliza, to their vow, to the love that shaped him. The watch and locket guide him, their tick and gleam his heartbeat. You know that drive, don't you? The need to honor someone you love, even when they're out of reach. For 20 nights, Henry labors, the lamplight his only friend. He carves the clock's face from cedar, etching stars to mirror their 1955 sky. The hands are forged from the watch's metal, the locket's chain woven into the chime. The chime sings their childhood lullaby, a melody Eliza hummed at 12. He carves their story into the base, the dock, the hill, their initials. The inscription reads, "For Concord, from H.C. and E.J., 1955. His hands shake, his heart falters, but love pushes him forward. Neighbors whisper of old man Caldwell's gift, the workshop ablaze past midnight. On the 20th night, Henry dreams of Eliza, her eyes bright under their star. "You kept our vow," she says, touching the clock. He wakes, tears streaming, and sets the final gear. The clock towers 10 feet, a beacon of their love, its stars glowing like her smile. August's full moon bathes Concord in light. The townsfolk gather, children laughing, elders murmuring. Henry, frail but resolute, unveils the clock. Its star-etched face shimmers, the hands at 11:11. The chime rings, a lullaby so pure it stills the crowd. Tears fall, the melody stirring memories of loves lost and found. A girl points skyward. That's their star. Above, a star burns brighter, and Henry sobs, feeling Eliza in the chime, the breeze, the light. You feel her too, don't you? The presence of someone you love, even when they're far away. The starlight clock becomes Concord's heart. Families gather nightly, sharing stories under its glow. Children say it sweetens dreams. Henry watches from his shop, the locket in hand, whispering, "This is for you, Eliza." But his heart aches. She's out there, and he doesn't know where. Months later, a newspaper story about the clock reaches Eliza in San Francisco, where she lives, widowed, her children grown. At 78, she's weak but fierce, her love for Henry undimmed. Reading of the clock, seeing their initials, she weeps. "You did it, Henry," she whispers. She writes a letter, her hand trembling. "Henry, your clock is our vow. I tried to come back, but they wouldn't let me. I love you always. Find me." She sends it, but a stroke leaves her bedridden, her address lost in a care home's records. Henry receives the letter, his heart soaring, then shattering. No address, only a San Francisco postmark. He searches, calling hospitals, scouring directories, but finds nothing. His health fades, his legs weaken, but he visits the clock nightly, the locket and letter in hand, whispering, "I'm coming, Eliza." He dreams of their 1985 days, her laugh, her touch, their star, but wakes to cold reality. You know that pain, listener, the agony of reaching for someone just beyond your grasp. One winter night, as snow blankets Concord, Henry sits beneath the clock, the pocket watch in his hand. The chime sings, soft and steady, and he looks to their star, faint, but there. "I love you, Eliza," he whispers, his voice a breath on the wind. His eyes close, the watch clutched to his heart, and he slips away, his face peaceful, snow dusting his hair. The town finds him at dawn, mourning their clockmaker, the watch still ticking faintly. Far away, Eliza, lying in her care home, feels a chill she can't name. She looks to the sky, their star dim, and whispers, "Good night, Henry." She fades days later, never knowing he searched, never hearing his final words. Their love, sworn at 8, burns eternal, but they remain apart, their star a silent witness to a vow unfulfilled.